Chase Elliott just crushed Denny Hamlin, and he didn't even need a car to do it. It wasn't on the track. It wasn't with a last lap bump or a dramatic overtime restart. No, this one happened under the bright lights of NASCAR's awards banquet. And while Denny Hamlin walked in with quiet hope, maybe even a little dignity after one of the most painful weeks of his racing career, he left with none of it. Because just when Hamlin thought the heartbreak was behind him, Chase Elliott delivered a knockout that no one saw coming, but everyone felt. Let me explain. Just days earlier, Denny Hamlin was leading 208 out of 312 laps at Phoenix. That's domination. That's control. That's what a NASCAR Cup Series champion looks like. But then, a late race caution erased everything. Gone. Another year. Another chance. Another cruel twist in a career that's been cursed with almost. For 20 years, Hamlin has fought to prove he belongs in the same conversation as the all-time greats. But no matter how many wins he stacks up, 60 and counting, it always comes back to the missing trophy. And in Phoenix, it looked like the curse was finally breaking, until it wasn't. So, when Hamlin arrived at the banquet in Nashville, there was a heaviness behind his usual sharp confidence. He was drained, beaten, but still standing, still hoping. There was one thing left, one award that might not require perfect pit stops or flawless aero, just love from the fans, the NMPA Most Popular Driver Award. He even said it himself. I don't know that I've ever been in the top 10, so that in itself was quite a shock. I don't know what's changed, but I certainly do appreciate it. You could hear it in his voice, a man desperately grasping for something that didn't hurt. For once, maybe the crowd would see the real Denny. Maybe they'd forgive the cocky interviews, the on-track aggression, the villain mask he's worn for years. Maybe they'd just say, "You matter." But they didn't. When the results came in, the room didn't just tilt in Elliott's direction. It collapsed into his arms. Chase Elliott didn't just win the award, he owned it. For the 8th straight year. 8th. Only 3 drivers in NASCAR's entire history have ever done more. His dad, Bill Elliott, Dale Earnhardt Jr., and the king himself, Richard Petty. For Hamlin, it was a punch to the gut with no helmet to soften the blow. Not just because he lost, but because it wasn't even close. Fans didn't want the comeback story. They didn't want the redemption arc. They wanted Chase, and Chase gave them exactly what they came for. His acceptance speech? Not loud, not flashy, but powerful in a way Hamlin's never been able to match. Because Chase didn't talk about himself. He talked about them. "Thank you for the votes," he began. "Thank you for taking the time out of your day to support us and support me in that way." But it didn't stop there. "It's so much more than the votes," he said. "It's about the people and the support I get to see firsthand. It blows me away every year to travel across the country and see just how passionate people are about what we're doing." And that's when it hit. Chase wasn't just accepting a trophy. He was reminding everyone why he wins it, year after year. Why people put his number on their shirts, wave his flags, and pack the stands just to scream his name. He sees them, he hears them, and they feel it. Meanwhile, Denny Hamlin stood in the shadows, watching the crowd erupt for the driver who's everything he's not. Clean-cut, soft-spoken, Georgia-raised, with a NASCAR legend for a father and a golden touch with fans. The contrast couldn't be more brutal. One man is built for the cheers, the other for the controversy. Hamlin has always walked the razor's edge, unafraid to speak his mind, unbothered by the boos. But on this night, it had to hurt. Because Elliott wasn't just winning, he was being loved. And love in this sport might be the one thing Hamlin's never truly had. Chase finished his speech with a message that was so full of warmth it almost melted the trophy in his hands. "I know this year had a couple high spots, but I'm always looking to bring you guys more. I always want to give you something to be proud of each and every week. I'm excited to do more of that for you next year." Not a word about Hamlin. He didn't need to mention him, because everyone already saw what happened. This wasn't a competition for points, it was a battle for hearts, and Hamlin never stood a chance. Denny Hamlin walked into that ballroom hoping for something, anything, that could soften the pain of Phoenix. But by the end of the night, he wasn't just overlooked, he was buried. And Chase Elliott was the one holding the shovel. Because what Elliott did on that stage wasn't just win an award, he sent a message. Without ever calling Hamlin out by name, he put the spotlight right where fans wanted it, and left Denny in the dark. And it wasn't just what Elliott said, it was how he said it. "I think I have some of the best fans in the world," Chase told the crowd. "I really appreciate you guys supporting me and pushing us and wanting the best for our team. Being there on the good days and the bad. Good days and bad." That line must have hit Denny like a freight train, because this past season, it was mostly bad. And through it all, the crowd never softened toward him. No chants, no love. Just more noise, more boos, and more empty what-ifs. But Chase? Even after a rocky season, he gets cheered like he just won Daytona every single weekend. He didn't even have a championship to celebrate this year. He wasn't the fastest. He wasn't the most dominant. But somehow, he was the face of NASCAR that night. Again. And that's what made it sting so much for Hamlin. Because no matter how hard he's pushed, no matter how close he's come, it always ends the same way. Just out of reach. Championship? Gone at Phoenix. Fan support? Gone in the voting. Legacy? Still stuck in neutral. But this moment wasn't just about pain. It was about what Elliott represents. He's not just a driver. He's the bridge between NASCAR's past and future. His dad, Bill, is a legend. His style is smooth. His voice is calm. He speaks with the fans, not at them. And on nights like this, it shows. He stood there and said, "I'm forever grateful, whether we win the award or don't win the award." And you could feel the truth in that. It wasn't scripted. It wasn't hollow. It was human. He even looked ahead, promising more for 2026. "I'm looking forward to some time away, but I'm also fired up and excited to give you guys more to root for next year." It wasn't just a thank you. It was a pledge, a promise to come back stronger, to make them proud. And the room ate it up. While Chase was getting standing ovations and love from every corner of the sport, Denny was standing in silence. A finalist no one voted for. A champion without a crown. A star that always seems to dim when the moment gets bright. And the question hanging in the air? Why? Why does Denny Hamlin, one of the winningest drivers of this generation, get left behind every time fans are asked to choose? Is it because of his blunt attitude? His willingness to play the villain? Or is it just that Chase has something you can't fake? Trust. Trust from the fans. Trust that when he says something, he means it. That when he races, he does it for them. That trust builds loyalty. Loyalty wins votes. And votes win moments like this. So as the confetti settled and the night ended, Chase Elliott didn't just walk away with a trophy. He walked away as the guy. Again. Not because of performance, but because of presence. He connects in a way that Hamlin just can't. And maybe that's the cruelest part of all. Because while Denny's still trying to win the crowd, Chase has already become the crowd's voice. In a sport that runs on speed, the difference between first and forgotten isn't just tenths of a second. It's moments like this, where one man gets handed a mic and turns it into a movement, and another is left wondering what more he has to give. Denny Hamlin didn't lose to Chase Elliott at the Banquet. He lost to the idea of Chase Elliott, to the clean image, to the family legacy, to the soft-spoken giant who somehow speaks louder than any rant ever could. And now, as Hamlin heads into yet another offseason full of questions and cracks in the armor, one thing is certain. NASCAR fans have chosen their champion. And it's not the guy with 60 wins and another heartbreak. It's the kid from Georgia with the soft drawl and the iron grip on their hearts. So let me ask you, what matters more in NASCAR now? Speed or love? Let me know in the comments, because one thing's for sure. Chase Elliott just proved that in 2025, popularity is power. And Denny Hamlin? He's still racing for both.